You're listening to a Time Machine podcast. Old Movie Time Machine. An adventure through time and or space.
Dishes are done, man.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Old Movie Time Machine, the show in which we use old movies of a certain particular era as windows into the past. We climb through these windows and we explore the world beyond and just see how people were living. It's really more a show about time than it is about movies. I'm your host, by the way, Justin Zeppa, joined as ever by my beautiful co-host, Shrishma Naik. Hello, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Justin.
And it's a very special birthday episode for Shrishma. Who knows when this will come out, but we should note on the day, Shrishi Boo, it's your B-Day.
It is my birthday. I'm very excited. Can I share my words of wisdom for my birthday?
I would yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I surprised you with that. But my words of wisdom are bloom where you're planted.
Bloom where your plant is.
Ooh. Oh. Bloom where you're planted.
Oh, bloom where you're planted.
Yeah. Okay.
Which might be where also your plant is. You have your plants, yeah.
Because I think this year I really learned about accepting that everything may not be exactly how I want it to be, but it's still pretty good.
Okay.
So I think that was the lesson.
Sage advice from Shrishma Naik, who is also joined by my sister and yours, Carolyn Naoroz. Hey, sis.
Hey there.
Welcome to Old Movie Time Machine. How's that? Pretty good?
Oh, that was great.
Thanks. Gang, we're talking about, we have to go big, for 2025 summer blockbuster season. We're going big. We're going to 1993. We're going to one of the most important things that has ever happened. We're going to see Jurassic Park today, and we're going to talk about it. Guys, this is a classic, instant classic, of course, one of the most successful films of all time, spawned a massive franchise, has generated billions and billions of dollars. Any opening thoughts from you guys?
It is personally in my list of top 5 movies.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Sure. I mean, I love it. I will watch it anytime.
Eminently watchable.
It holds up for me. I have to say, even the effects hold up for me. I have lots of thoughts on the effects and the quality of like having some real life touch, feel, actual special effects, and sort of gravity that comes with that, which is really cool that they don't really do anymore. And there's just, yes, as a cultural thing, it was just like almost like a zenith moment of like making the most of the franchise as the franchise was starting. And there was all the t-shirts and the cups and the stuff at the actual Jurassic where you're like, I want to buy that. As a kid, you're like, I want to buy that. I want that. I want that. Like you wanted a piece of it, and they were already making it while they were making the movie, which they were doing. This is like, it's like Jaws on steroids.
Yes, that's a great point. It's one of the things that I noted through this watch through is just sort of like how clever that is, that you can have this sort of meta marketing merch factory where they're wearing the merch in the movie that is for, in theory, in our world, for the movie. I mean, that's fantastic. Like how clever, how much money was generated through that? How awesome is it as an audience member to see a thing like, and this is like right out the gate where you see the people, the guards and the workers wearing their hard hats, the branded Jurassic Park hard hats. And you're like, oh, they're wearing the logo from the poster that I just saw in the lobby for this movie. They know, they know what this is. Like we're here, we're in Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park is effectively real if we just went by metrics of merch availability.
And in that regard, they did the whole theme park thing really, really cool. Because theme parks are, very much alive and well and burgeoning in that particular time and space. And they did that really well. But like, I also just think there's some great there's some great performances from our actors, like classic ones. There was some just lines that I still reference as like a social scientist about like the amount of times I've quoted like Dr. Ian Malcolm.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way, or like, we didn't stop to ask if we should. Just because we could, like there's some like important things there that they still hold true. They still hit you in the gut. And not to mention just the filmmaking part of like just the simple shaking of the water in the glass as the dinosaurs approaching. The sounds, like the things that they had to do in Jaws, which was like the first high concept film, that was like thought Steven Spielberg was like, I think he had panic attacks after making that. I watched the thing recently because he was like thought it would end his career, and it totally made his career. But just the smart devices that they use to build the tension that they don't really do anymore. There's so much just straight up show you that they don't allow any of the tension to build in the same way as they still were doing in 1993 is really what I like. That's why I compare this one to Jaws, because, we had the 2 notes in the music. We had the camera. Yeah. This was like the ripples in the water cup in the car, or the ripples in the huge footprint on the ground, and then like the T-Rex is coming through, and there's just like so many cool moments like that in this movie where you're like, it still holds up. You're still like on the edge of your seat.
Absolutely.
I mean, I love this movie. I think we watched it for the first time in the theater, and I think it brought the concept of dinosaurs, like made it a real concept rather than just like images you saw on a page. And so, the scene where they actually get to the park and see the dinosaurs for the first time, I think it was almost like the whole world was seeing the dinosaurs for the first time. And you could almost feel the wonder in that scene, like not just with their reaction with like Sam Neill and Laura Dern's reaction, but everyone could feel like, oh shit, they made dinosaurs come to life, like, and I think that was so fantastical. And I, as you said, the movie's great. My favorite character is, what's his name?
Malcolm.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff Goldblum. Just a guess. Just had
Jeff
a feeling.
Goldblum.
Yeah.
And of course, the little kids were great. I mean, everything about it, from like the excitement, there was stuff for, having the kids in there, so you get the kids' perspective. And it almost, it brought me back to the conversation we had when we watched Oppenheimer, where it was like, just because they could do it, did they have to actually do it? So it brought back, those discussions we had around Oppenheimer. But I mean, the question still stands, right? Like, should they have done it? I feel like 6 movies later, they're still doing the same dumb shit.
Well, if you think about it from like, it's an imaginary example of why we shouldn't do the things that just because we can, right? Because in real life, we know like, okay, we're not cloning dinosaurs, thank God.
Right.
We have all these movies, this entire series of movies, of which there's like you said, 6 of them, 7 of 8 of them, I don't know. That show us time and time again that a man and dinosaurs should not be on the earth together at the same time. And that we, and the characters talk through that, like, I didn't have enough respect for that power, and it's out now, I mean, and those are the realities. So in that way, it's like, whether we're talking about dinosaurs, that's just the most fun version to think about. But we could also think about, any of our technology that we have, and that no one is stopping and asking, what are the consequences, and what should we actually be proceeding with this? But we can, so let's do it. So which is why I end up quoting this movie over and over.
Over and over. I mean, especially now with all the stuff that they're doing on AI, it all sounds great. And it will make a few people a lot of money, which is something they touch upon. But will it really, in the end, like help humanity, or will it just kind of push us further to, some of these dystopian futures that we see depicted in those movies?
Us, because we're no longer using our brains to communicate in the way that we're capable of, and not just to communicate like facts and knowledge and information, but creativity and the arts and everything else that makes us human, like that art side of culture, for letting AI do it and do the thinking.
great points all around, you guys. Shrishma, I wanted to circle back to what you were saying about just showing the world dinosaurs, and I want to sort of give some context for the people at home who may not have been alive at the time when this happened.
I'm really hoping that you're going to delve into your lifelong passion of dinosaurs and what this movie meant to you. Like, as your sister, I'm going to ask that question of you, as like,
okay,
to open that Pandora's box for you to talk about.
Thank you for teeing that up for me.
Right? Like, let's talk about shipwrecks today. Let's talk about dinosaurs.
I'm not gonna linger on it too long, because I mean, ultimately nobody really cares about my thoughts on the thing, but I just, as somebody who was there, because the beautiful thing about Old Movie Time Machine Oops All 90s edition is that we, all the three of us, lived through the 90s, so we are here to tell you the
target
truth.
audience of
of this movie. Absolutely.
And there's nothing more 90s than Jurassic Park, you guys. Old JP, as I call it. It is like you guys said, it's a top. It's one or two. It's up there with Raiders, basically. Yeah. And this movie comes out in 1993 in the summer, in June. I want to say June 6th, maybe. So it's and my birthday is June 9th. So it is summer blockbuster season. It feels very personal to me, because it's always associated with like, oh, birthday outing, birthday party, gonna go see whatever the movie is. So
1993. I know I was I was in between third and fourth grade. So this is the summer between third and fourth grade. Mm-hmm. So you would have been in middle school?
I was in middle school, and I was turning from age 11 to age 12. Okay. So I had just turned 12. So I am the prime target for all of this stuff, and I was ready for it. So let me take you back, you guys. It starts with the book, really. It starts with Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, the book, which was, if you were into books, which many people were at the time, and you saw that book being carried around, that paperback, that distinctive white paperback with the black silhouette of a full T-Rex skeleton. I mean, it is compelling beyond compelling. Dinosaurs have fascinated us culturally for a very long time. Yeah. Since we really got into them in the mid 19th century, we start digging up. We get Drinker Cope and all that, digging up various bones and discovering these new species and everything. And this carries through, especially as the rise of cinema. And one of the very first animated films, Gertie the Dinosaur, was just a dinosaur playing with an apple. We see Journey to the Center of the Earth and King Kong all feature dinosaurs prominently. And it's just I think that
there's like the human fascination, and I think why dinosaurs became, like, as they found fossils, I'm going to guess, and I think it's true for this movie, is the sheer size. The sheer, like, oh my God, there were things this big. And like when like you hold up a bone and you're like, how big is the rest of this?
Right.
Creature. Yeah. And then I think that that's really, like, when you talk about, Shrishma, like seeing dinosaurs for the first time, we get that giddy excitement when they're going through the lab and they're like, oh my God, dinosaurs. Yeah. But then when that T-Rex is revealed after the goat leg falls on, that's like a core memory, childhood memory for me, is sitting in the theater and feeling like the goat leg fell like on top of your face. And I remember screaming so loud. Mm-hmm. But like, then when that T-Rex is revealed, you're just like,
oh shit.
Oh yeah. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, it's so big. And then when you're in a theater and you see it.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was the first time, like, actually, because I think I was 7. So, we'd done movies, but like just seeing that on screen and seeing them alive, I think it was like so much is possible, like the possibilities are endless of what people can do. And I think for me, like, similar to the T-Rex scene, the scene where they're on the three of the Sam Neill and the 2 kids are on the branch, and the Brachiosaurus comes, and like I swear I wanted to pet that dinosaur, like
for sure.
It was like, so like just the way they created both like the wonder of them, but also the fear for these animals, that, you can have wonder, but they're also really dangerous at the same time. Mm-hmm. I think they just did it so well.
So successful.
And even today, like when you watch it today, you still, like, although we've had like so many more versions of that movie, this one still sticks out as like the strongest one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's, again, the anticipation cannot be overstated here because, so as we were talking about, the book comes out, I want to say 90, 91, somewhere around there. So you have a couple of years.
Read the book?
Yeah. Oh, I did. I read the book before the movie came out. I mean, it's weird to think of the math of this because I read it to a degree where I did a full-on book report and did a topographical map of what I thought the island looked like based on footage that was in the trailer of which, I mean, there's no internet back then, kids, so you had to watch Entertainment Tonight to see the preview for the trailer, which I then taped on VHS and watched obsessively in freeze-framed Sam Jackson talking about, the fences are failing all over the parks. And in the background on his computer screen, you could see a map of Isla Nublar. And so that's what I based this projected, map on for the book.
Teacher, were you submitting this Michael Crichton report? And I'm just saying, I was too young. I would have been way too young to read.
This is my point.
The Boxcar Children at that particular age.
I would have been 10, 11 years old reading this book that is for adults,
cloning.
Yeah.
But you were
did you understand? You read it? When you were reading it?
I was so into I got all of it. I loved it. I mean, and this is not uncommon. Stephen King at the same time was also very big, and some people were Stephen King kids. So if you walked around, it was a real signifier if you were seen walking around with Stephen King's It, which is, a massive paperback, and it's just creepy to look at, it just the thing itself, the object elicits a certain feeling. Same thing for Jurassic Park. Whenever I see that book, it's like, oh my God, look at that beautiful book that I know what's in there.
I didn't read it until I want to say I was in college. I was way, way, way later because I was like, oh, I should read that book.
Kind of related. I will say that there are, in my understanding, there are 3 books that I think are actually worse than the movies that they inspired. This is one of them. And I'm not saying, I think it's a great book. I just think the movie does it better, honestly. It just tightens everything up.
Well, I was going to say, I remember the book being oh, okay, so these are things they used in other films. At that point, it was not the Jurassic Park.
They're still piecing that thing out.
They're still using parts of it. And I just remember thinking oh, okay, this is was way, way bigger. I mean, the movie just did a great job of, it was tight. I mean, there is not a piece of fat anywhere in the movie. There is no extra anything. This is, to me, that's, I guess why, and I do include Jaws in my top 5 as well. Spielberg has, I feel like.
Well, okay, so
Spielberg has 2 of them, and it's really hard to I could put another one in there.
Right. All right. Let's tie some of this up. So the other two books that are worse than their movies are Frankenstein and Count of Monte Cristo. That's done. Close that tab. I want to go back to the anticipation because that was everything. And I want to, again, just sort of underline what the media ecosphere is like for information about
Entertainment Tonight. Let's go back to Entertainment Tonight being pre-internet, what we had to watch to get any news on Hollywood and the rest of America.
Oh yeah, I mean, that
is a time capsule right there.
Yeah. Well, the other outlet that you had access to was magazines. So you would have. If you were of the nerdier variety, of course, I was at the time. So when you've got, all right, Steven Spielberg, the Dreamweaver, and he's telling me he's going to show me dinosaurs, I don't know what the fuck that's going to look like, but I am into, of course I'm into it. I'm 11 years old, effectively, because I just turned 12. And I bought the magazines, of course, all the, Sci-Fi Universe. And there was one specific one that's just called Dinosaur, ! I think it was a one-off, had a hologram cover and just it had all these behind the scenes, hidden set photos or whatever. I mean, and all of it was just so mysterious and so cranked up because, again, you hadn't seen anything every drama. Every focus feature now has a pack of dinosaurs in the background of these domestic arguments. It's so easy to make them now. But back then, this didn't exist. We didn't know what CGI was. We really, I mean, a handful of films were using it before then.
That's why I just think that overall, the mix of that era of CGI and the real life, like animatronic dinosaurs, and the mixture of those two is why this movie still holds up for me, because they had the ones that like the characters could see and touch and interact with. As well as so it just made them that much more real. There is just something about that like, hey, look, the CGI we have now, it's awesome. It's really cool. You can do so much stuff with it. But like, I'm old school. It's like, I want to touch the book. I want to hold the book, right? Dinosaur.
Well, I know the one shot in particular that I noticed this watch around is that I think it's Grant waving the flare, and the T-Rex looks up at him and does the roar, and that's the animatronic. That's the life-size Stan Winston creature, and it just looks so real. Like it looks the eyes in particular. They did such an amazing job with the eyes. Like the animal, there's life behind them.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just incredible. So yeah, there's that. So audience, come with me while we go to the theater, while we go to the Howell Theater, and we're sitting down and. You know, Carolyn, you kind of referenced it before, the sort of the tease of seeing these animals, because we don't see them until about 22 minutes into the movie. I checked the time code when we see the brachiosaurs. But just
the lovers meet 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm in love with dinosaurs. So
it's really cute.
But the way I was watching the steps that they take to set that up. Obviously, they're doing at this point Spielberg's Jaws thing, the whole thing of where like the shark isn't working, therefore we have to shoot around it, therefore the less you see, the scarier it becomes. Even in 1993, we all knew that story. Like that's as old as the hills, him talking about that. So he's aware of that, so he is teasing us, right?
Then do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the opening scene when the raptor grabs the worker and eats them, I mean, like we see almost zero dinosaur, we see just brief glimpses through the openings in the cage. But we see the results, right? So that's very jarring. The other thing is that he really captures, I think, a moment or the beauty of pre-Jurassic Park dinosaur thinking when we cut from the next scene, which is the lawyer talking to the guy, Digger, right? And he goes, "Grant's like me, I'm a digger." And then we zoom in on the amber encased mosquito, and then it cuts to this beautiful overhead shot of dusting off a fossil, like unearthing a raptor fossil, like that's as much as we knew about dinosaurs at that time. So he's kind of like using that, filming it the most beautiful way possible. It looks spectacular. So if you're in the theater at the time, you're like, ooh, that's going to trigger something of like, wow. Look, that's the real deal. And you could go to museums and see them at this point, of course. But like seeing that and then knowing that like, I'm going to see one of those move around, I'm going to see one of those flesh. I'm being promised this. What an outrageous promise, all things considered, that like, you're going to believe a dinosaur. You're going to see a dinosaur, everybody. And it works. I mean, it's just extraordinary. And I can't describe to you, I can't overstate like all those feelings and how cranked up they were because of that like novelty of seeing this truly fantastical thing that just can't exist, but there it is, it exists. And then the other thing I want to talk about, and then I'll shut up for a little bit, is the sound. This is one of the first movies that used like a full digital, I think it was DTS sound, and it was the loudest thing that I had ever heard up to that point. Like when the T-Rex attacks, like it is, and when the footstep hits, it shook you in your core. And it was such a, like, that does make such a difference. I think it's something we don't think about because it's such a visually oriented medium, but the sound really, I mean, that was also a life-changing experience to have a T-Rex roar in your face and glorious digital surround. But yeah, so anyway, it was a crazy time, you guys. All right, what do you got?
About it.
Where do we go from here?
For us.
Carolyn, do you remember seeing it for the first time?
Oh.
Do you have memory of this?
Yes, I do. That's what I was saying. It's like a core memory. I just remember screaming my head off when the goat leg fell. Like that totally got me. I mean, and same thing. It was this, and then it was, I think, the year after when The Lion King came out, and those two. And I remember seeing Home Alone in the Howell Theater.
Yeah, me too.
I have memory of that as well. So there's a couple here where I'm just like, these are like, when I'm like the fabric of my life. You know, those three are pretty solid memories. But Jurassic Park, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, in retrospect, in watching this now as an adult, and I still enjoy it. And of course, as a kid, you know, you're seeing it from the kid's perspective. But as an adult, like, I love Dr. Sattler. She's amazing. Yeah. She's like, when I come back, we can talk about gender roles crisis situations.
Yeah,
like that. I'm just like, oh my God, this movie did so much.
You think she has to be an impactful character, right? To women, like STEM women,
yes, absolutely. You know, and she's there's things like that I've come to appreciate even more as an adult, even more as a woman. You know, I mean, I do appreciate. I mean, I'm a social scientist. I'm not a lab scientist, but I totally appreciate when how they talk about research and development and, you know, things in this film, and the fact that like they've got some really smart characters commentating on the fact that these dinosaurs were created, and it's brilliant. That's what really holds up still, is the like just some of the dialogue is really kind of timeless.
I think that scene where they're having lunch and they start kind of talking about the morality of what they're doing. I remember as a kid when I used to watch this movie, I would always fast forward through that scene because I didn't care what they were talking about. Like, I just want to get to the dinosaurs and the action.
Right.
But as I got older, like, that scene's very important because I think it really like brings up some very core concepts of, you know, why we're doing what we're doing, and kind of the capitalism of it all versus, you know, what's right versus wrong, and should we do things. But I don't know, like, it's really weird because clearly the message, I don't know what the message is. The message is like, we shouldn't be messing with dinosaurs, but we're incapable of learning from our mistakes. So we just keep trying to do it in like smarter and smarter ways, but we just kind of keep getting into the same kind of problem where these dinosaurs lose control. And I imagine that's what happens in the latest movie as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's interesting because is there a message that is trying to activate a change in the way that we think? I don't know. Like, when I think about this, it's just sort of like, oh, genie's out of the bottle. The genie always comes out of the bottle. As soon as we can figure out how to get him out of there, or her out of there, excuse me, or them out of there, then we're going to do that. So I don't know if it's making, I mean, the character Ian Malcolm's making the statement of like, should we, shouldn't we, sort of, you're not even thinking about it. And I think the movie is,
I think that Grant is saying that too. Like, his whole point after, you know, Ian says in this particular scene, especially, which I will say I also like the way this scene is shot, because it was right after they saw the raptors tear apart the cow, and none of them want to touch their food because they're all like, but it's also like, you know, they're in a dark room, and there's the scenes being shown around them.
So cinematic.
And the tension it really builds, but because it's a dark room, there's even more tension where, like, you know, and Grant says something like, you know, humans and dinosaurs haven't existed together, and like, he's like, and we don't know what to expect, like, you know. So I mean, clearly all of the PhDs that are there, not the lawyer, the JD, he's like, we can have a coupon.
He's like counting money.
You know, he's like, yes, we'll make it bank. The PhDs are like, you know, I mean, even Dr. Sattler was like, you have species of plants here that are that have been deceased forever, and you have them because they're beautiful, but they're poisonous.
Yeah.
You know, so they're all making their case from their theoretical and knowledge-based perspectives.
And I think that the fact that they took time to talk about it was important. I think like that kind of gives the sense of, something for the audience to think about. It's not just, hey, dinosaurs, but there is a, not moral, I say, but there is a discussion to be had about why we're doing this. But then my point is, does money always trump, or the possibility of making money is always going to trump whether you should do something or not, which seems to be the trend of the world that we're living in even today.
I think the fact that we've had more movies out of it, but every time we do a movie, it's that like the corporation is bad.
Right.
And these other people have to come in and like save the situation.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes,
like,
in the movie brought to you by a corporation, by the way.
Right. But it's always like clearly like the technology fell into the wrong hands, right? Following, the cloning technology.
Yeah. I mean, I think about there's things that they haven't even explored in these films that I think about where I'm like, okay, sustainability of how large these animals are, what that does to an ecosystem. Like,
well, Carolyn, they've resolved this already. They spared no expense is the answer.
They spared no expense. Exactly.
They spent a bunch of money.
5 times, no expense spared.
Shrishma, I wanted to circle back to a point that you just made. This movie was shot by Dean Cundey, by the way. It's fucking gorgeous. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. And if you look up Dean Cundey, you'll see that he's probably shot some of your other favorite movies as well. But the thing you just said about like them having that discussion and showing it in the film, because we talk a lot. Shrishma and I do a show called Wookiee of the Year where we talk about Star Wars sometimes, and we talk about how Star Wars has a standing around explaining things to each other problem. Look at how effective this movie does that very thing, where you have this very high concept idea that you need to explain to your audience in a very compressed amount of time
in a lively way,
so we can get to right. How do you do that in a compelling way where it's not just people standing around telling each other those things? Well, you do it in a couple of ways, and they sort of like mete out this information in that first 10 minutes where they're at the park once they finally get there. So we're seeing, they're laying all the track for the raptors at the raptor cage, and then we go to the lunch thing, which has the slideshows flashing around them, and it's sort of shot from like a lower angle up at them seated at the table, and the room itself is black. It's a very it's just sort of, it's unusual. It's not a space that you would think of automatically. And then we go to the ride, and we see the Mr. DNA animated video and everything.
I love that video.
And it's incredible because it explains the whole thing, but it's also funny and it's visually compelling. And we're all in on the joke of them at this theme park watching a theme park movie. I think at that point, I think it's worth noting that when this is being filmed and comes out, it's sort of a boom time for theme parks because Disney has entered the Michael Eisner era where they're sort of funneling all these resources into building new rides and opening new parks, MGM Studios. The same thing.
They had it was Animal Kingdom, right? Where they had this, the dinosaur Jeep one that was like, I loved that ride. That was so cool.
And Animal Kingdom was the result of that same boom. Same thing with Euro Disney or Disneyland Paris, whatever it's called. And at the same time, Universal Studios has built its theme park in Orlando to compete, sort of get a part of that. Now, that's critical because Steven Spielberg's properties or his, I don't know if they belong to him technically, but like Jaws, E.T., all those things. He was the producer of Back to the Future. Like he's got his fingers in so many different successful franchises run by Universal that he had a deal where he would help them develop or sort of guide them in creating rides based on properties for his movies. And so he gets a cut, I think still to this day, I think he still gets a cut of Universal Studios profits. So like he is deep into that stuff, which is why I think it is so effective in this movie and why all of that works, because it's so real. And he's been in meetings like that, and he's helped create something like Mr. DNA to explain the premise of the ride you're about to go on and everything. So it's just interesting. On this point, let me just take you back in time again real quick, because it's going back to the meta sort of movie is the theme park is the movie. 1993, Carolyn and I were on a family vacation and did go to Universal Studios in Orlando.
Well,
Free internet. So like if you wanted movie merch, you had to go to a theme park, basically.
Sure.
Occasionally at the mall, you're getting stuff. But like, so in May, they had a booth set up that they didn't have the Jurassic Park ride open yet because the movie's not out yet. But they did have a merch booth going. And at the merch booth, I bought the poster, in Adventure 65 Million Years in the Making. It was so iconic that, again, we're all seeing it in our mind's eyes as I'm talking about it, the silhouette of the T-Rex, right? Yeah. Gripping stuff. So I had some merch before the movie came out. That was special in itself. And also they were giving away those trifold flyers bordered in yellow of sort of like, this is the Welcome to Jurassic Park, the real thing. And those flyers, so I got one of those and then was delighted when the movie came out to see that those flyers are in the movie. Right. You can see them sweep them aside when they go find the binoculars in the back of the Explorers.
Yes.
I mean, stuff like that. Like that was like, I'm living this. I'm living Jurassic Park, you guys.
Even when rewatching it, that's always what I think when they're like eating the ice cream and talking about the flea circus, and like there's like the camera like pans by like the
lunch boxes,
cups and the lunch boxes, the T-shirts, and I'm like, oh, they were so smart in doing this. I mean, I think one other thing I definitely want to talk about really quick, because we have talked about the amazing T-Rex and we've talked about the Brachiosaur, but we need to talk about these raptors.
Right.
So scary.
So scary. And that scene in the kitchen.
Yeah. That whole scene was...
It still holds up. It still is like, oh my God.
Terrifying.
Think about the little things. Think about the tapping of the claw on the floor. Right. I mean, like, come on. Like, this is pure horror, everybody. Like, this is... Right. I don't know. Just like they shoot the dinosaurs.
Like door handles.
Even when they're scary... Like they're just so beautiful. They just look great, you know. Like you feel the majesty. I feel every time I feel the majesty of the fear that the raptors instill when they figure out how to open doors and
Justin, do you remember, like, I think it was a making of The Lion King or something. It was one of like the Disney animation studio things where they, you know, talk through the process. And Disney's always great about that, right? Where they like talk through their process of making, like how they make the decisions and how an animal moves and how they animate it. And that's kind of what I loved about Lord of the Rings too, about like when there's like, I don't know, 12 hours of Weta like making of footage where they decide how dragons and like whatever animal they're making is going to move. I have to say, one of the things about Jurassic Park is the movement of these dinosaurs, whether they were like the live animatronics or the CG, was so believable. And the time that takes, and I'm sure the zoologists that they worked with and the, like for them to just get the movement to look real, because if it didn't, we'd all be like, oh,
it's a stupid movie. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. No, I mean, just like the balancing points, how the tail moves. Like, I mean, they just, I think that is an art form that is so critical to the believability of a film like this.
100%. I mean, think about, we've talked about in the past, the uncanny valley. Like our brains subconsciously, when we see a CG figure, right? We see a person who's computerized, a digital figure. We subconsciously, we're scanning, we're looking at these faces for signs of variance, signs of something that shouldn't quite be there. That is the uncanny valley. That's why it still looks like an animated person. We can't quite capture the life behind somebody's eyes, you know, and so think about that when obviously nobody's seen a dinosaur, so we don't have the same framework as like a human. When we see a CG human, it's sort of like, of course I'm looking at, you know, how your mouth is moving, because that's not how a mouth moves. But like, dinosaurs are still an animal, still an organism. So like, they have to behave in a lifelike way, and it's totally believable throughout.
Like the bone structure. I mean, what do we have? We have bones. That's what we have, and we can get. But no, what I mean is like, okay, so just start with that.
Write it down. We all have bones.
So then they have to build, and I know a lot of this, like, it's advanced so far beyond, but we're thinking about this like early day CG, and these dinosaurs, they're like really believable, so we're just like there is a person making a decision about these muscles connecting with these sinews, and then we're putting skin over it, and then we're making sure that these movements look realistic. We're going to reference probably chickens, birds, turkeys, snakes, like whatever things they can, other reptiles. Like this is what I mean by like the amount of legwork that goes into that final product that we see on the screen. Like and it's really, really impressive, and it's so believable. And the fact that you're like, no, these dinosaurs, they could be real. They could come and eat me right now. That's why I'm still like, I watch it and I'm like, yep, these special effects hold up for me. I don't go. Yeah,
it looks so good. I have to agree. Like even when I watched it today, I was still amazed at the realism that came off. And there's not one moment where you think this is an unreal scenario.
Right, that it doesn't hold up.
This is actually
there's no weakness.
Yeah.
It's so rare. It's so rare.
T-Rex like eating the tire, and the combination of the live parts of the T-Rex that they used and how realistic those things looked, along with the CG. I mean, that's what I mean. Like it was just such a great mix of those things that
combined with
real, like it made it so real. Like there's gravity, because when they're all CG and there's nothing real, like you're kind of like, all right, they're all CG.
Right. Right. Well, I think a strength of this is because this was shot early days of CG. It's all very expensive. It's the very beginning. It's the start. So it's like the number of effect shots, I can't remember how many, was the most effect shots in any movie up to that point by a wide margin. But the fact that this was shot by somebody like a Dean Cundey, somebody with a more traditional cinematic, a more classic way of framing things, as opposed to when if we fast forward to like Peter Jackson's King Kong, which is just like overstuffed with dinosaurs, but also because they've developed the technology to a point of we can now make the camera move within these digital sets that we've created. Then everything looks like a video game cutscene. Basically, it's all the sort of like unrealistic, weightless camera movement. That's like spatial uncanny valley of like, I know that no camera was involved in filming what I'm looking at right now. There is no sense that there is a camera that weighs 70 pounds sitting on an arm that's being moved by 3 PAs slowly, like
or even like, what's the walking one? What am I totally blanking on? Like the still cam.
Oh, the Steadicam.
Yeah, where they can like walk it, but they're walking it through a real place.
Right, a physical thing through a physical place. Yeah, right. It's one of those little things that like will forever, and maybe this changes as the audience evolves, and people like us who saw the old shit die out, like, and they only know weightless camera movements, which is probably. Honestly, oh God, I sound like 100 years old, but like these kids today with their video games, they're probably used to it, right? Jesus
it's not Christ. Super Mario Brothers.
Or is it?
Unbelievable. Well, sorry for being ancient, everybody. My apologies. Guys, I have two more things to address before we wrap it.
Yes.
In recent times, I forget when exactly, this is probably around Me Too era, maybe a little bit before, but like in recent times, it's been pointed out the relationship between Ellie and Alan and how this may be inappropriate because she is she's younger and he is a person.
She's a PhD and they have two different disciplines. And I think that they met when they were like digging up some dinosaur bones, and that she's not his student, because otherwise she'd be a paleontologist, not a paleobotanist.
Biologist.
Okay. So Carolyn's clearly got this all sorted out. Thank you so much.
I love Dr. Alan. And if I were Dr. Sadler, I would have dated him too. So
I just wanted to bring it up because
your bones, man.
People have brought up the levers of power and everything, and
I never picked up on that at all. Like their whole relationship, and it didn't seem like she was his student. It almost seemed like she was his peer.
Yes.
And then they complemented each other in their disciplines as they were doing these.
Absolutely, things. I just feel like they met on a dig.
Yeah. Well, this is all I wanted to say was that as a 12-year-old, all I saw were two adults. Honestly, two adults and an adults date and they get married and they talk about having babies, and like I didn't see that at all. And watching it today, I still didn't really see it. Like, and not that like Laura Dern does not strike me as some like,
if anything,
college kid, you know, like she's an adult woman who knows what she's doing and is fucking funny and smart. And why wouldn't they be dating?
Giving it back to these men. I mean, she was not a wallflower. She was giving it back to them the entire time. She made her points about like the poisonous plants in that sort of like, what are you doing conversation? Not to mention then she was trying to torture Dr. Grant
with the kids.
And she thought it was so fun. I mean, come on. And I love the interaction of Malcolm and Grant
and
fighting
her.
And, I mean, it was great. Like, no, I did not. I would be the first one to say like, hey, inappropriate, like power dynamic. I think they were all peers. That's how it's always played to me.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would say,
total hoax. No,
I
want to acknowledge it. That's all.
Something that's actually very empowering to women.
Yeah. And I love her line where he makes that joke about the dinosaurs and she's like, and then dinosaurs eat men and women inherit the earth. I mean, it's still
legendary.
I think we should be giving Dr. Sattler more props and the screenwriters for writing her in such a fantastic way.
Royalties
did an amazing job playing her.
This is one of those, we've talked about this type of film in the past where like this is a persona DNA movie where it's like I express myself through things I learned through this movie. So for one today that stuck out that I haven't thought about in years, when Sam Jackson, the incredible Sam Jackson, in a really kind of a breakout role. This is right before Pulp Fiction, but he's incredible as Mr. Arnold. Hold on to your butts and all that. But the one that stuck out to me that I still say to myself sometimes in times of distress is when he starts muttering to himself, "Oh, what the hell, what the hell, what the hell?" Like that is part of my persona DNA. Like that's how I express myself as Sam Jackson in Jurassic Park, trying to figure out the fucking fences or whatever. So it's just important like that. So the last thing I wanted to bring up, you guys, as we wrap it here, is the technology. Just because I wanted to underline how very 1993 all of the tech is that we see, and I love to see it. I love the windows that we're seeing on the computer screens. I love the Ford Explorers, which were newish at the time. I love the fact that we take a time out for Lex to be like, "Hey, it's a touchscreen CD-ROM. You can just touch it.
Touch it."
It's pointed out. It's cool to see because that was the future at the time. Now we all do it every day, all the time with our phones. But at the time, it was so special. They had to point it out. It plays zero role in the film afterward. They just like take a beat to show you touchscreen tech.
She has a throwaway line where she's actually walking away from the camera after they discover the eggs.
Yes, about how she's a hacker.
About how she's a hacker, and Timmy's giving her a hard time about, "I'm a hacker." And then it's like the only reason that line is even in there and stayed in the film is because she has to go in and figure out the Unix system.
The Unix system.
Right. Later.
Yeah.
It's also the only
barely set it up, but they do it. It's in there.
It was the touchscreen thing because she was like, "Oh my God, it's a touchscreen CD-ROM." And so it's like, clearly this is supposed to be a kid that has an interest in technology, which I love. Wasn't the little boy.
The boy. Yeah, exactly.
It was the girl. Exactly. And you want to know what that's me again. It empowers.
That was notable in the 90s. That was notable at the time. Because it was the same situation in the book too. I think she might have been written a little bit more sporty in the book. She's very into baseball, whereas like that would traditionally be Timmy's, the boys' way of bonding with the parents, but like for Lex that it's baseball and her dad. So so it's just beautiful to see that CD-ROM and also just all the screens, all the monitors in the control room, guys. I mean, like that was the future. That was exceptional to see that all in one place at the time. And as somebody who was there, I just love to see it.
As someone who was probably playing like the Oregon Trail horrible computer game.
Yeah, exactly. That was the level we're dealing with. You didn't say the magic word. That's just one step above Oregon Trail.
We should talk about Nedry really quick.
Okay, sure. The great Wayne Knight.
I mean, that is also, there's some of those beginning scenes that just like, I could quote this movie line for line, like, "Dr. Grant's like me, he's a digger." That one, and like, "We've got dots in here," like things like that.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. And like spraying the the Barbasol can into his hand and then putting it on the
Into his-
pot.
right.
I mean, there's just some of those things where you're like, okay, this is really funny.
Yeah.
There's these little moments.
I remember hating his character the most. Like, obviously, we're supposed to, so
Yes.
that speaks to how well he played it. But I just hated his character, that he would do those kind of things, and I was like, "Oh yes, he died." You know, like
Yeah.
dinosaurs got him.
Right. I will say there's one other loophole. It's really small that's like an unanswered question that I have. Everything is pretty much really, really tight in this film. Like I said, no fat. There's no fat.
Yeah.
But what is making the Triceratops sick? Because we have an entire scene where we look at the West Indian lilac,
Mhm.
never find out
It's a-
why she's sick. And I have questions. Okay.
But I thought that the Triceratops had a baby.
No, that's the Steggy in the second one, then the Lost World. We see
Oh,
Steggy.
yeah.
So, Carol, that's a great point. That is a dropped plot point.
But we dug into a pile of shit,
Oh,
which, by
shit.
the way, having to now owning very large herbivores, that is not what dino droppings would look like if they were herbivores. Okay, it would not be these
It would be more like, it would be more.
regular, like just massive piles of shit. It would be like grassy, like horse or cow shit.
Oh, I think that the giant piles, I took those to be like that the workers had gathered them and moved it into like a big pile, basically, because there would be dino shit everywhere.
Everywhere.
Now, to answer your question, what they do figure out in the book is that, not unlike birds, the dinosaurs were swallowing stones to help digest. And so, like, they then have to like unswallow the stones, and that makes them sick. And also, I think there was something about the berries as well, but I think mostly it was about they had found the I forget what those stones are called, but the digestion stones. They found piles of those later, and so that was sort of played into it. But I think you're right. I think it was just an excuse to show one, Triceratops, a fan favorite,
Obviously,
dino, and two, just to also have that is one big pile of shit.
That is one big pile of shit. I was not happy though that she took off one of the gloves and then she held it in her bare hand.
She held the inside with her bare hand.
I mean,
she peeled it and then like grabbed. That's what I assumed. We have to go check the footage.
We'll have to recheck the footage, but the way it looked is that it was like it didn't look like she peeled it off that way. I don't know. We'll have to go back and watch it.
She's salt of the earth. She doesn't mind.
She doesn't mind. We'll stink on
That's
her.
what a horse school would do for sure. Would be like, I will dig through that shit and touch everything.
She wants to have babies. It's all poop. That's all they do. The poop machines.
That's all they do. Anyways, I think if Ellie Sattler wants to have a baby with you, you should be really proud of yourself, Dr. Alan Grant. Although I do agree that babies smell.
Yeah,
I agree with him.
Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
This maybe Alan Grant saying he didn't want children is the whole reason I don't have children. I'm still trying to prove that I should have been with Dr. Alan Grant.
I see. Still holding out.
He came back. He comes back in the third movie, right?
He comes back in the third and the sixth.
The second one is Ian, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the sex symbol of Dr. Ian Malcolm. Oh yeah,
because Jeff Goldblum was in Independence Day, and then loved his character in that, and then he was in this as well. So I'm pretty sure I had a crush on Jeff.
This was the start of the Goldblum Renaissance. Really, we didn't know he wasn't much of a known quantity in the mainstream. He was part of like The Fly and all that. He'd done sort of like indie stuff.
Yeah,
but this makes him a star in a way, and they try to turn him into a sex symbol. You know, like he's obviously he has a shirt open when they're in the bunker, right?
They didn't try; they achieved.
I think that activated a lot of sexualities for young women in the early '90s, is my understanding from what I've heard.
PhD's got a lot sexier after.
After that.
And then in the sequel movie, like they definitely he's had his like total glow up, and he's like leading man ready, trying to make it happen. And I don't know if it actually really does.
I mean, the movie itself didn't.
He's not Tom Cruise.
Do so great. So I mean, the movie wasn't great to begin with. So
The Lost World.
Yeah.
Oh, it made plenty of money, but no, it's not great. But do you guys have any closing thoughts on this? Anything we haven't touched on yet before we wrap it up? Do the business. We're keeping this, right? There's no.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, I had an idea. I had an idea today about Jurassic Park VR version, so maybe we should push that into development.
Oh yeah, I think that'll be part of it. I think history and time, has proven that the things that really motivate the progression of media are pornography and also dinosaurs. Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you, Shrishma, as ever. Top flight work.
Thank you.
I think we've really gotten to the bottom of this and have not repeated too many stories that people normally would talk about, which is part of the goal. Right. This is a very well-trod property, Jurassic Park. People have mentioned it before, so... but I'm sure we'll be talking about it again. Thanks so much, guys. And until next time, this has been Old Movie Time Machine.
I'll see you on the internet.